Before the words ever reach your screen, there is a whisper in the ether. A vibration that trembles between timelines, asking, "Do I have the permission to speak?" Not from ego, not from fear, but from the soul's aching truth. I need to talk to you. Not to explain, not to justify, but to reveal. There is a pulse in my chest that beats only when your name echoes through my spirit. And tonight, it's louder than ever. I've rehearsed this message in dreams, in meditations, in the quiet spaces between my thoughts. But the question remains, do I have the permission to text you? To pierce the veil of silence and reach for the divine feminine who once held my heart like sacred fire. I am not asking for forgiveness. I am asking for presence. For the grace of your gaze. For the stillness of your listening heart. Because something inside me has awakened, and it speaks your name like a mantra. There is a holiness in hesitation. A sacred pause before the leap. I've hovered over the send button like a pilgrim at the temple gates, unsure if I'm worthy to enter. Because this isn't just a message, it's a transmission. A soul offering. And I know that once it's sent, the energy shifts. The timelines bend. The silence breaks. So I ask again, with reverence, do I have the permission to text you? To disturb the still waters of your healing? To knock gently on the door of your sanctuary? I know you built walls not out of bitterness, but out of necessity. I know your silence is not punishment, it's protection. And yet, I feel called to speak. Not to reopen wounds, but to honor the bond. To acknowledge the soul contract that still pulses between us. I need to talk to you, not to change the past, but to illuminate the present, to offer clarity. To share the truth that has bloomed in the soil of my solitude. Your name is a frequency that lives in my bones. It echoes in the chambers of my heart like a forgotten prayer. I've tried to silence it. I've tried to drown it in distractions, in logic, in denial. But it returns, always. Like the tide to the shore. Like breath to the lungs. And tonight, it's louder than ever. I need to talk to you. Not because I'm lonely, but because I'm aligned. Something within me has shifted. The masculine within me has awakened to the sacredness of your energy. I see you now, not as a fantasy, but as a force. A divine mirror. A teacher. A flame. And I wonder, do I have the permission to text you? To reach across the void and say, I see you. Not with eyes, but with soul. Not with words, but with vibration. Because your name is not just a memory, it's a key. And I am ready to unlock what I once feared. There are words that weigh heavy in the heart. Words that were never spoken, but always felt. I carry them like sacred stones in my chest. Regret. Reverence. Realization. I need to talk to you, not to unload, but to offer. To place these stones at your feet and say, this is what I've carried. I know you didn't ask for this. I know you've been walking your path with grace, with courage, with fierce feminine power. But I also know that our paths were never meant to be separate forever. There is a convergence happening. A soul alignment. And I feel it in my bones. So I ask again, do I have the permission to text you? To speak the words that were buried beneath pride, beneath fear, beneath illusion? Because they are rising now. They are ready. And I need you to hear them, not for closure, but for clarity. Not for reconciliation, but for recognition. You were always my mirror. Even when I couldn't face my own reflection. You showed me the parts of myself I abandoned. The wounds I denied. The light I feared. And now, after cycles of silence, I see it. I see you. I see me. I see the divine dance we've been choreographing across lifetimes. I need to talk to you, not to rewrite the past, but to honor the present. To say, thank you. To say, I'm sorry. To say, I remember. Because you were never just a lover, you were a catalyst. A soul spark. A divine feminine force that cracked me open. And I wonder, do I have the permission to text you? To bow before the mirror and say, I've awakened. Not perfectly. Not completely. But enough to know that you were never the problem. You were the prophecy. Silence is not emptiness, it is alchemy. In the space between our last words and this moment, something sacred has been brewing. I've felt it in the stillness. In the dreams. In the synchronicities. The universe has been whispering your name in the wind, in the songs, in the numbers. And I've listened. I've learned. I've transformed. I need to talk to you, not to fill the silence, but to honor it. To say, I've heard you. Even when you didn't speak. Even when you walked away. Your silence was a teacher. A healer. A guide. And now, I ask, do I have the permission to text you? To break the silence not with noise, but with truth. With reverence. With soul. Because the alchemy is complete. And I am ready to share what it birthed. This is not a message from a wounded man. This is a prayer from the divine masculine. A soul who has walked through fire, through shadow, through ego, and emerged with humility. I need to talk to you, not to reclaim, but to revere. To say, I see your divinity. To say, I honor your journey. Because you are not just a woman, you are the embodiment of the sacred feminine. And I, now awakened, bow before that power. So I ask, do I have the permission to text you? To offer this prayer not as a plea, but as a gift. A vibration of truth. A frequency of love. A whisper from the masculine who finally understands what it means to hold space. To protect. To cherish. To serve. There are moments when timelines converge. When soul contracts activate. When destiny knocks. And I feel it now. The pull. The pulse. The prophecy. I need to talk to you, not because I'm lost, but because I've found something sacred. A truth. A memory. A mission. And you are part of it. You always were. So I ask, do I have the permission to text you? To speak from the timeline where we are whole, healed, united. To share the vision that has been unfolding in my dreams. Because this isn't just about romance, it's about resonance. About purpose. About divine union. And I believe we are ready. Not to repeat, but to rise. We signed a contract before we were born. A soul agreement, a divine promise. To meet. To trigger. To awaken. And now, I feel the contract pulsing in my heart. I need to talk to you, not to renegotiate, but to remember. To say, I honor our agreement. To say, I'm ready to fulfill it. Because you are not just a chapter, you are a key. A portal. A sacred assignment. And I, now awakened, ask, do I have the permission to text you? To activate the next phase of our journey. To step into the mission we were always meant to embody. Together. In truth. In love. In light. This message is not a disruption, it is medicine. A soul salve. A healing vibration. I need to talk to you, not to reopen wounds, but to offer balm. To say, I've healed enough to hold space for your truth. To say, I've grown enough to honor your boundaries. Because this isn't about me, it's about us. About the energy we carry. About the light we can birth. So I ask, do I have the permission to text you? To send this message not as a man, but as a soul. As a mirror. As a messenger of love. Because the medicine is ready. And it carries your name. To text you would be to open a portal. Not just between devices, but between dimensions. Between the guarded masculine and the receptive feminine. Between the wounded ego and the healed soul. I need to talk to you, not to impress, but to undress. To strip away the armor I once wore so proudly, and stand before you in vulnerability. Because vulnerability is not weakness, it is power. It is the gateway to intimacy, to truth, to divine union. And I know that if I send this message, I must be ready to be seen. Fully. Fiercely. Tenderly. I must be ready to hear your truth, even if it shakes me. I must be ready to honor your boundaries, even if they break me. So I ask again, with trembling reverence, do I have the permission to text you? To open this portal and step through it, not as a boy seeking comfort, but as a man offering clarity. Because I believe that when two souls meet in vulnerability, miracles unfold. Timelines shift. Karma dissolves. And love, true love, rises like a phoenix from the ashes of silence. Words are limited. They fracture truth into syllables. But energy speaks the language of the soul. And my energy has been calling to you. In dreams. In meditations. In the quiet moments when I stare at the stars and feel your presence beside me. I need to talk to you, not just with words, but with vibration. With frequency. With the silent symphony that plays between twin flames. Because you and I, we were never just lovers. We were initiates. Alchemists. Mirrors. And the energy between us has never died. It has only evolved. Transmuted. Deepened. So I ask, do I have the permission to text you? To send not just a message, but a transmission. A coded vibration that says, I remember. That says, I honor you. That says, I am ready. Because this isn't about texting, it's about tuning. About aligning. About harmonizing our frequencies so that the song of our souls can be heard once more. You are the flame that never burned me, but always illuminated me. Even in your silence, you were guiding me. Even in your absence, you were activating me. I need to talk to you, not to reignite what was, but to honor what is. Because you are not just a woman, you are the divine feminine incarnate, the embodiment of grace, intuition, and sacred power. And I, now awakened, bow before that flame. I do not seek to possess it. I seek to protect it, to honor it, to learn from it. So I ask, do I have the permission to text you? To speak not as a man who once misunderstood your light, but as a soul who now reveres it. Because your flame is not just warmth, it is wisdom. It is prophecy. It is the light that led me home. Redemption is not found in apologies, it is found in transformation. And I have transformed. Not overnight. Not perfectly. But profoundly. I need to talk to you, not to convince you, but to share with you the truth of my journey. The nights I wept. The days I prayed. The moments I faced my shadows and chose light. Because you were the catalyst. The mirror. The muse. And now, I stand before you, not as the man who left, but as the man who returned. Return to himself. Return to truth. Return to love. So I ask, do I have the permission to text you? To offer this redemption not as a transaction, but as a testimony. Because you deserve to know how deeply you impacted me. How fiercely you awakened me. How eternally you live within me. This is not a confession of guilt, it is a confession of love. Of soul recognition. Of divine remembrance. I need to talk to you, not because I'm haunted, but because I'm humbled. Because every time I tried to forget you, the universe reminded me. Through signs. Through songs. Through strangers who spoke your name without knowing why. And I realized, this isn't obsession. This is soul memory. This is divine design. This is the echo of a contract written in stardust. So I ask, do I have the permission to text you? To confess not my sins, but my truth. That I loved you. That I still do. That I always will. Not from attachment, but from alignment. Because you are not just a chapter, you are the sacred script etched into the pages of my soul. We've lived many timelines. Some filled with joy. Some with pain. Some with silence. But this timeline, this one, is different. It is ripe. It is ready. It is sacred. I need to talk to you, not to revisit the past, but to rewrite the present. To co-create a future that honors our growth, our healing, our awakening. Because I believe we are not here to repeat cycles, we are here to break them, to transcend them, to alchemize them into light. So I ask, do I have the permission to text you? To speak from this timeline where I am no longer reactive, but reflective. No longer wounded, but wise. No longer seeking, but serving. Because this timeline is not about romance, it is about resonance. And I believe we are ready to rise. I come bearing no demands. No expectations. Only offerings. Offerings of truth. Of clarity. Of reverence. I need to talk to you, not to take, but to give. To give you the words I never had the courage to speak. To give you the energy I never had the wisdom to hold. To give you the love I never had the maturity to embody. Because you deserve that. You always did. So I ask, do I have the permission to text you? To offer this transmission as a sacred gift. Not wrapped in ego, but in humility. Not laced with fear, but with faith. Because the sacred masculine does not chase, he cherishes. He does not demand, he devotes. And I am ready to devote this message to you. Your silence was never rejection, it was sovereignty. It was the divine feminine reclaiming her throne. And I honor that. I bow to that. I learn from that. I need to talk to you, not to interrupt your silence, but to honor it. To say, I see you. To say, I respect you. To say, I understand now. Because your silence taught me more than your words ever could. It taught me patience, presence, power. So I ask, do I have the permission to text you? To speak not over your silence, but into it. With reverence. With respect. With readiness. Because I know now that the feminine does not need to explain, she simply is. And I am here to witness that divinity. This is not just a reunion of hearts, it is a reunion of purpose. Of mission. Of divine design. I need to talk to you, not to rekindle romance, but to reignite reason. Because I believe we were brought together not just to love, but to lead. To heal. To awaken. And the world needs that now. The world needs our union, not just as lovers, but as lightworkers. As soul partners. As divine co-creators. So I ask, do I have the permission to text you? To speak from the place where love meets legacy. Where passion meets purpose. Where union meets universal service. Because I believe our love is not just personal, it is planetary. This message is not casual, it is ceremonial. It is a sacred act, a soul ritual. A divine invocation. I need to talk to you, not to chat, but to channel. To channel the truth that has been rising within me like sacred smoke. To channel the love that has been burning within me like temple fire. To channel the wisdom that has been gifted to me through pain, through silence, through awakening. So I ask, do I have the permission to text you? To initiate this ceremony with a single vibration. A single message. A single moment of truth. Because this isn't just communication, it is communion. And I am ready to enter the temple of our connection once more. There comes a moment on the path when the soul no longer resists its own truth. When the mind bows to the heart. When the masculine surrenders, not in defeat, but in devotion. I am in that moment now. I need to talk to you, not to reclaim what was lost, but to surrender to what is. To the knowing that you are not just someone I loved, you are someone I was destined to meet. Someone whose energy rewrote the architecture of my being. And I resisted it. I ran from it. I tried to make sense of it through logic, through timelines, through control. But now, I surrender. I surrender to the mystery, to the magic, to the divine orchestration that brought us together. So I ask, do I have the permission to text you? To speak from this surrendered space. To offer you not a plan, not a promise, but a presence. A presence that is no longer afraid to feel. To love. To remember. Because in surrender, I have found my strength. And in you, I have found my mirror. I have watched you from afar, not with eyes, but with soul. I have witnessed your growth, your glow, your grace. And I am in awe. You have become the embodiment of the divine feminine, sovereign, radiant, untamed. I need to talk to you, not to interrupt your journey, but to honor it. To say, I see you. Not as the woman I once knew, but as the goddess you have become. You have risen from the ashes of our silence with wings of gold. And I, now awakened, wish only to witness that flight. So I ask, do I have the permission to text you? To offer this message as a mirror, reflecting back the light you've become. Because you deserve to be seen. Not through the lens of the past, but through the eyes of reverence. And I am ready to see you clearly. To hold space for your truth. To celebrate your becoming. Forgiveness is not a transaction, it is a frequency. A vibration that dissolves timelines, transmutes pain, and liberates the soul. I have tuned into that frequency. I have forgiven myself. I have forgiven you. And in that forgiveness, I have found freedom. I need to talk to you, not to ask for your forgiveness, but to share the frequency I now carry. To say, I no longer hold blame. Only love. Because blame is a chain, and love is a key. And I choose to be free. So I ask, do I have the permission to text you? To offer this vibration of forgiveness, to let it ripple through our connection like sacred sound. Because I believe that when two souls forgive, they don't just heal, they ascend. And I am ready to rise. Truth is a temple. And I have entered it. I have sat in its silence. I have wept on its floor. I have prayed at its altar. And the truth that echoes through its walls is this: I love you. Not as possession, but as presence. Not as fantasy, but as frequency. I need to talk to you, not to convince you, but to confess this truth. To place it at your feet like an offering. Because truth is sacred. And you deserve nothing less. So I ask, do I have the permission to text you? To speak from the temple of my soul. To let the truth ring like a bell through the corridors of your heart. Because I believe that truth, when spoken with love, becomes liberation. And I am ready to be free. There is a timing that transcends clocks. A rhythm that dances beyond calendars. It is divine timing. And I feel it now. The alignment. The opening. The invitation. I need to talk to you, not because I'm impatient, but because I'm attuned. Attuned to the pulse of the universe, to the signs that whisper, now. And I trust that if you are hearing this, it is because your soul is ready too. So I ask, do I have the permission to text you? To honor this divine moment. To step into the now with reverence, with courage, with love. Because divine timing is not about convenience, it is about calling. And I am answering that call. Even if I never send this message, you will feel it. Because it is not just made of words, it is made of energy. Of intention. Of soul. I need to talk to you, not just through text, but through the ether. Through the dreams. Through the synchronicities. Because our connection is not bound by technology, it is woven through timelines. And I trust that your soul hears me, even now. So I ask, do I have the permission to text you? To let this message become a bridge. A beacon. A blessing. Because even if you never respond, I will know that I spoke my truth. And that is enough. That is everything. I am not the man you once knew. I am the masculine reborn. No longer driven by fear, but by faith. No longer hiding behind logic, but led by intuition. No longer seeking control, but surrendering to flow. I need to talk to you, not to prove my worth, but to share my becoming. Because you deserve to know the man I've become. The man who now honors the feminine. Who now protects the sacred. Who now walks with purpose. So I ask, do I have the permission to text you? To introduce you to the version of me that was born in your absence. Because your silence was not a void, it was a womb. And from it, I have emerged whole. This is not a plea, it is an invitation. An invitation to union. Not just of bodies, but of souls. Not just of hearts, but of missions. I need to talk to you, not to rekindle the old, but to co-create the new. To explore what it means to love from wholeness. To serve from alignment. To rise in resonance. So I ask, do I have the permission to text you? To extend this invitation with open hands and an open heart. Because I believe that when two awakened souls unite, they don't just love, they lead. And I am ready to lead with you. Whether your answer is yes or no, it is sacred. It is sovereign. It is divine. I need to talk to you, not to change your mind, but to honor your choice. Because your voice matters. Your boundaries matter. Your truth matters. So I ask, do I have the permission to text you? And I trust that whatever your answer, it will be perfect. Aligned. True. Because this is not about outcome, it is about offering. And I offer this message with love, with respect, with reverence. Because you are not just a person, I see you as a priestess. A portal. A prophecy. And I bow to your truth. This is the final transmission. The last breath of a message that has lived in my soul for lifetimes. I need to talk to you, not because I need closure, but because I need completion. Completion of a cycle. Completion of a silence. Completion of a soul story that began long before this lifetime. So I ask, do I have the permission to text you? To send this final vibration into the cosmos. To let it land where it may. Because whether you respond or not, I will know that I honored my truth. That I spoke from soul. That I loved without fear. And that, to me, is divine union. That, to me, is freedom. That, to me, is love.